Welcome everyone to another awesome day of FileMaker training. The FileMaker platform, a really cool development platform for building your own custom FileMaker applications. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of fmtraining.tv, where we do live stream training every day at 1 o'clock here, Pacific time. We have people joining us from all over the world. It's very cool. We want to welcome everyone. And so today's broadcast is day 4 of a very awesome, it's day 4 of 5 days of awesomeness. It's a deep dive into syncing your FileMaker solution to an offline device or syncing it around the world to multiple servers so those servers can access the information worldwide at high speed. Really, so that's the idea, is taking FileMaker and deploying it. So if you have a team in Europe, a team in the US, you want them to have fast FileMaker performance, you need the stuff that we have in this webinar. So doing a little bit of maintenance up front here. I want to let everyone know that the daily live stream trainings are provided by or sponsored by fmtraining.tv. I'm the creator of the training team there. There's about 4 or 5 video editors, and we put together on-demand FileMaker video content every year for every release, plus daily live streams. It's really awesome. And because people like you help purchase our bundles, it helps us pay for and afford these broadcasts. It's really great. So if you want to know more about the upcoming broadcasts, you go to fmtrain.tv and you can press the live tab and it'll show you the upcoming schedule down at the bottom about the next 6 business days of the training that we have. And then, cool. So then let me just keep running through the announcements here. So we are broadcasting in high definition on 1080 to YouTube, Twitch, and Discord. And we will be talking. And so as I'm talking here and presenting, or Jesse is talking and presenting our guest speaker, I'll be over here. You'll see me over here kind of typing and doing stuff over here. I'm actually communicating because there's 3 different chats going at once on this broadcast. Very interesting. If you want to help support these broadcasts, help support this training, which is really free. Nothing in the world is really free. Someone has to write a check to pay for it. That's me. If you want to help support what we're doing, definitely make sure you buy one of our training bundles. The training bundle right here, which includes all the training plus a special version of our CRM, FM Starting Point. And that includes a full copy of FileMaker Pro for Mac or Windows, right? So FileMaker Pro 19. And actually, that's an error right here. It's FileMaker Pro Advanced 19. I just caught that. We've been steadily removing all the advances everywhere in the world. In fact, it says it right there twice. I have looked at this screen 100 times since 19 shipped, and I have never. Maybe you folks caught it. You should say something to me because I am definitely not perfect. Now, if you already have FileMaker Pro on your Mac or Windows computer, then definitely check out our training here. Once again, you'll get on-demand training. It's much more organized. This is a little bit free-flowing ad hoc. We do have people here who get grumpy at me for taking questions and stuff. And so, once again, this is not the same as on-demand training. This is kind of like if you have a speaker in an auditorium and they're talking and they're taking questions, this is that kind of deal. So that's very cool. For DevCon, we're coming up to the FileMaker Developer Conference. And so if you think that you might want this bundle right here, this bundle right here is normally the single person bundle. We have a double bundle, which saves a ton of money for 2 people. A ton of money. It's really a good deal. So it's the Claris DevCon / Engage double deal. It's like going to the burger place and saying, I want a double In-N-Out burger, right? If you want to check that out, you can go to bit.ly/FM double will be the link that will get you there, which is pretty good. And then today's broadcast, once again, is by Jesse Barnum. He's the CEO of 360 Works. Jesse makes mission-critical software that if you want to deploy FileMaker to the enterprise, you really must use this software. I don't want to say you absolutely must use this software. There's probably 5% of you who could probably, if that, who could, not even that. I just say you can't build what he has done for what he's charging. The synchronization software, which you're going to see, is amazing. It's really inexpensive relative to what you're getting. And so I'm just going to say you have to have Jesse, right? And I know people say, well, you can't say that. It's like, hey, this broadcast is not being paid for by Apple, not being paid for by Claris. I can say whatever I want, right? So I say you need Jesse. If you want to fight about it, we'll fight. right? Jesse, are you there? Can I fight for you? Or is he gone? We lost Jesse. He's probably not expecting.
I was too busy laughing to find my unmute button.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Well, people are like, you don't really need Jesse. Screw Jesse, right? No. You have to have Jesse. Must have Jesse. No Jesse, no enterprise for you. That's the way it is. If you want to take FileMaker to the enterprise, you must have the third-party software to make it work, period. And you're like, well, why is that? Well, I'll show you in just a second. But before we do, Jesse does have a good deal on the software. He doesn't do this for free. He wants money for his hard work. I don't blame him. So if you want 15% deal off, I told him, if you're going to come here and show this, everyone here is going to want a deal. All these people here are going to want a deal. I can see them lining up. I got TK, I got Bob, I got Scott, I got Robert from Texas, I got Joe from Cologne. Wow. Point Richmond, everyone's showing up. Brutterman from Arkansas, Michael Gravel from Montreal. I got IIS Delta Whiskey from Indonesia, which is always exciting. We got, of course, Top Cat, Canberra, Dave 1, Dave 2, Gadidi, Ken, Nate, Scott, TK. And did I get everyone here? And these are only the people that I can actually see. There are literally, for every one of you that talk here and we see here, there's about 8 to 10 lurkers, people who are stealthily lurking about, right? So let's talk about what we're doing today. What are we doing and why do you need Jesse? So I'm going to click over here, see if this will play. I want you to look at this. I'm going to pause this as we go here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this. I'm going to pop this as a video right here. I want everyone to see. This is really amazing stuff. So this is what we are talking about in the enterprise. This is the latest version of this graphic. This is probably the complete one. So the idea is that you're going to set up servers. If all you need is like Europe and part of the United States, then you can set up 2 servers, right? But if you have East Coast and West Coast of the United States and Europe, and you've got India and you've got Japan, you got Australia, we can do all this. Jesse does all this. His software makes FileMaker work in this configuration. FileMaker without Jesse won't do this. FileMaker by itself, FileMaker server only does one by itself. What we're doing is we're showing that it's going to synchronize this data. See, so all of them are synchronizing together. So if you make a change in one location, the change gets pushed to all the other locations. And you're like, well, why are we doing all these servers? Well, the reason we do all these servers is because people log on to the closest server. And so as you can see here, they would log on to the closest one. And you're like, well, how do they know what the closest one is? Well, you've come to the right place. We have an answer for all that. And the reason, why do we do it this way? Well, one is that we want people to be close to the server, which gives us great performance, right? That's one. 2, in the event of an unsavory accident, right? So you have a server that goes down or there's a problem or something else happens. Those people who are affected by that can quit FileMaker and reopen it, and they would be redirected to the closest server so they can continue to access the solution. Meanwhile, you can call your IT folks and say, hey, please resurrect our server. Once it's up and running, it auto resyncs and gets up to date. Then those people can come back in again. So this is really good stuff. So when you see all the animations like this is normally the stuff that you get in our paid on-demand video courses. It's a lot more animated. There's no questions. People don't ask us questions because they're not there. But this is the kind of stuff you get. Very good artwork. So there are people who are going to ask questions. We do have some lurkers lurking by from 360 Works. If you have a tech question, we'll try to throw it out there to you. We do have an agenda for today, and one of the things we're going to do is we're going to give you the keys to the castle. We're going to give you a launcher file. And I'm not quite ready for the launcher file yet. I'm getting it loaded up. But we're going to take the launcher file. We're going to post it here so everyone can log in. And you're going to notice at the top of the computer as you log in, it's going to redirect you to the closest FileMaker server. It's really cool. And Jesse's going to walk us through a bunch of this. So Jesse, are you there? Are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to go. And I've got quite a few bullet points on my kind of demo list. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them today, but I'm probably going to demo a little faster than I've been going in the last few days because I want to make sure that I hit as many of these bullet points as I can. First thing I want to show here, just like what Richard was talking about, is the DNS feature. And I mentioned this on day 1, but I want to just show you guys something new. So if you were here on day 1, you saw that we had 4 servers. We have A, which is California, B, which is Virginia, C, which is Ireland, D, which is Mumbai. Last night, we added E, which is Sydney. So we are now operating in 4 different continents. And I want to show you what I did to get the domain name servers to add that Sydney server. So I'm using Route 53 from Amazon. And I won't go into how I got here because we did that on day one. But previously I had 4 checks, now I have 5 checks. So I added this new health check. And when you add a health check with Route 53, Amazon wants to know, what do we call this? I'm just going to call this FMSP5. What's the protocol? I could pick either HTTP or HTTPS. We're going to be talking to the data API on FileMaker server, so that requires HTTPS. Then we're talking about our domain name, and I just realized that I made a typo here. That should have been E, so I'm glad we edited this. I'll fix it. So that is the server that we're talking to. Since this is our 5th check, I guess I could have done check FMSP E, and then it wouldn't have, maybe I wouldn't have made that mistake. But this is the server that we're going to check. This is the port that we're checking it on, and this is the URL that we're checking. I'm checking to make sure by specifying this product info URL, that's always on whenever the data API is on. So by calling this URL, I'll be able to make sure that A, FileMaker server is running, and B, the data API is running. If the data API were to stop or FileMaker server were to die, then that check would start to fail, and this would change to an unhealthy status. Now that I've got this health check set up, now I can go over to my DNS setup. And you know, I'll delete the one that I added, and I'm going to add it back in. Just so everybody can see the steps here, because this is a really cool feature that you can use not just for FileMaker, not just for replication. This is an Amazon feature, not again a FileMaker feature, a 360works feature, or a MirrorSync feature. If you're ever creating a website or web application on Amazon and you are distributing it across multiple servers in multiple regions, you'll need to know how to do this. So this is good to know even if you're not thinking about it for MirrorSync. So I'm going to create a new record set. The host name, FMSP demo, you'll notice that that matches the ones that I already have set up. That's because everybody's going to type in the same host name to get to the server. I could do an A address and type in an IP address here, but Rich already has servers set up with a certain domain name, so I'm going to pick CNAME instead. And CNAME basically means this name here, FMSP demo, is an alias for some other name. And I already have that on my clipboard right here, 1701E. That's the Sydney server. I like to set this is the time to live. This is essentially how long that value is cached. Setting it to a long value means that clients will cache that value for a long time, which reduces the traffic to Amazon. Setting it to a short value increases the traffic to Amazon, and the cache time is much shorter. I like to set it really short. That way, if I need to make a change, I only need to wait 1 minute for that change to kick in. Down here, so this stuff up here, this is regular DNS stuff that you'll use Amazon for anytime that you want to set up a DNS entry. If you were setting up a web server or a FileMaker server, you should know how to do the stuff that I just showed you. Now in the lower part, we get to the kind of deluxe stuff where we're getting to the different types of routing choices. So simple basically means this always goes to that. I'm not going to talk about weighted, failover, or geolocation. I'm going to talk about latency in this case.
Yeah, latency, we want the shortest latency, right?
Yep. Latency is saying this server, and if I look at my other ones, they all have a region assigned to them. US East, US West, AP South 1, which is Mumbai, and EU West 1, which is Ireland. So this new one is in Sydney, which is AP Southeast 1. And then I give it some name, and the name should be different than all the other servers. And so I'm just going to call it FMSP AP-Southeast-1. It doesn't matter what I put here as long as it's not the same as anything else I've ever created. This last section is optional, associated with health check. If I pick no, then Amazon will always route the queries to whatever the nearest server is. But if I pick yes, and then I pick that new check that I added, FMSP5, then it will route it to the nearest server if that server is running. If the server is not running, then it will take it to the next closest place. So combining this latency DNS feature with the health, terrific redundancy and speed, because it will take you to the nearest server unless the server's down, and then take you to the next nearest server. And I hit create there, and so now I've got my 5 entries back again. They've all got a time to live of 60, so if I wanted to make a change to any of them, it would only take a minute to make that change. Let me show you under the hood how this is actually working. I'm going to go to terminal, which is what I usually use for my DNS checks. I'm doing ns lookup, which is a built-in command that just basically says do a DNS check. And I'm looking for this name, fmspdemo.360works.com. So I do that. My server is the Google server. The Google server is talking to the Amazon server because that's where the 360works.com domain is hosted. And then it's going to say, this is the interesting line right here. fmspdemo.360works.com goes to, and this is the CNAME part, stands for canonical name. It goes to 1701b.atrcc.com. B remembers the East Coast. I'm in Atlanta, so I'm closest to the East Coast server. If you were to do this, anybody who wants to, if you want to try this on your own computer, give it a shot. And it's look up fmspdemo.360works.com, and you'll get either A, B, C, D, or E, depending on which region you're closest to. And then down here is the actual IP address. So when FileMaker goes to connect to this, FileMaker doesn't know that any of this magic is happening at Amazon's end. It just says, hey, where is this server? Amazon is going to reply back, kind of sneakily sticking in the closest one, and FileMaker doesn't know the difference. FileMaker's just like, okay, well, here's the server I'm going to go to. Detail, since I added that Sydney server so everybody knows how that works. So that's I'm gonna move on from there. I'll have some other points where I can stop for questions, but since I've got so much to get through, I want to show this next thing, which you haven't seen yet, unless you saw Richard and I demo this 2 or 3 years ago at DevCon.
Okay, is this the one where you're going to push the update?
This is the one where I'm going to crush the server. I'm
crash it on purpose?
FileMaker server.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. When you get to the part where we're going to push the update, we need to put a security credential in for these people to use. So we need to do that and then push that out. Because right now they can't log in. Okay, cool. All right.
Sounds good. So I think that security credential, that's already, you and I set that days ago, and that's already been pushed to all the servers. So we can do it with or without the update.
Okay, I'll have to check that.
So I've got this running every 10 seconds, and I'm going to go into my server. Notice that the title tells me I'm in Northern Virginia. That's because it's the closest one to me. And I'm just going to create some records. I'll create an expenses thing because I don't have any creative ideas of what else to do. And new motorcycle rates. Should definitely go on my expense report. Since this sync is running every so often in the background, if I were to look here, I would see that this stuff should hopefully be getting pushed to all those different servers. So I'm making the change in Virginia. MirrorSync is going to pick that change up from Virginia, and it's going to write it to the other servers. Yeah, you can see right here 03. So it's writing those 4 expense records that I just created to the other 4 servers. So that is working. That's great. Now, so let's remember, I've got 5 records here in my expenses table. Now I'm going to do something really awful. Actually, always kind of makes me happy for some perverse reason. I don't know why I like doing this, but I'm going to FM server, and I'm going to kill this process. This is not a nice, gentle, hey, when you're done, stop. This is, you're dead. They're gone. Okay, so that's like really bad. Don't ever do that to your server unless you're dealing with fake files like this, or unless you're running MirrorSync. So that server is now dead, and I can prove it to you if I try to go here. Database server is not running when you stop the database server. So that almost certainly corrupted my file.
Yep, take it to the bank, baby. Take it to the bank.
Yeah. That file is dead. I could try and open this file, and I could try and do a consistency check on it. I have some files that take 3 hours to do consistency checks on for some of my larger clients. So rather than do the consistency check, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to last night's backup. And last night's backup, and actually, I'm going to stop the autosync. This will actually all work with autosync on, but I want to stop it so that I can make sure that everybody sees what's happening at the speed that I'm talking about it and not have it happen behind my back. So I'm turning off the autosync. I don't need this anymore. I've already killed it. I am going to trash this dead file. Of course, if it was real, I would move it to some damaged folder or something like that so I could have it just in case. but I know I don't really need it for this demo. Now I'm going to my backup. This is my daily backup from the 22nd, which is last night at 11 p.m. So this is last night's backup. Does not have the new records that I just added. So I am going to put this into my live database folder, and then I am going to go back in the server admin console, and I'm going to start my database server. Now, in reality, I would, if my server was dead, I would definitely be like rebooting the server and making sure that it's okay. So that file is up and running. I need to open it. The server admin actually hadn't caught up to the fact that file was dead and gone. So it was just momentarily thinking that everything was fine and still showing the old open file. So before you know what, the sync is not finished yet. I'm going to close this file because I don't want the sync to run yet on this file. Oh, you know what? The reason the sync is taking so long is because it's still trying to get FileMaker Server to do something. I wanted to show you guys, I wrote this down in my bullet points, and I'm not referring to my bullet points. I wanted to show you guys that, and I don't have time to go back and redo it, but if while the server had been crashed, if I had come in here and did another DNS lookup, it actually, within 90 seconds of crashing the server, it would have come up saying canonical name is 1701A, because that's my next closest server. And if I had tried to connect back in with FileMaker Pro client, it would have worked, but my title bar would have said Northern California instead of Northern Virginia. And I'm sorry I skipped that, and I'm almost tempted to.
Listen, Jesse, you're not, unless you're going to skip out on us tomorrow, we got plenty of time. We really do.
I'm going to cancel that sync, and I'm going to crash it again.
Yeah, do a twofer.
It just
double crash, baby.
Fun. You're like, no, don't do this. It's kind of like breaking a window. It's like, you're not supposed to. All right, so that file is dead. And if I reload here, it's really dead. And just to make sure it's really dead, I will come into this live thing. I'm going to trash that file. Now, it might take up to 90 seconds before it goes away. And the reason is because it takes about 30 seconds for that health check runs every 30 seconds. We can come over here and we can look at our health check. And so the one I just killed was B, which is 2. So Amazon has not figured out yet that I've killed it. So why don't we pause for a minute, and if there's any questions, now's a good time to answer them while we're waiting for Amazon to kick in.
TK says later people can log on to only using a web browser they need. Yeah, we're not trying to do Webdirect on this, TK. I mean, I guess we could, but how many fires do you want me to light on live TV at one time? So I think Pro and Go are easier demos. Besides, if there are people here watching and they're not doing Pro or Go, then I'm not sure they're entirely following us. I would assume that most everyone here has at least Pro.
But I would point out that everything I'm demoing would work just like this with Webdirect as well.
Yeah.
You would put in that same URL in your browser, and then Amazon would route you to the next closest server.
So D Vike says it didn't work for me. It kept returning to 1701B, right? And that's the East Coast server, right? So
I wonder if.
I mean, I'm not sure.
I wonder. You know what I just realized? Our health check actually is checking to see if the data API is running. And the data API could potentially be running even though the database itself is not. So let me make sure. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm simulating the server is completely dead. So I'm just going to turn off the data API. And then, within a little bit of time, again, 30 seconds or so, Amazon should realize that's really dead.
Yeah, you'd want to, normally we do a test to see if there's actually a file that comes back, available file or something like that in the list.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that would be a better check, is to check that the file is actually there. It's a little bit more complicated because of the way authentication works in the data API. You need to make two requests.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You need to make a login request and then get that token. and then make a second request. Amazon Health Check can only make one request, and it has to be a hard-coded request. So in order to do that, you would need to set up like a PHP script or JavaScript or some server-side check, maybe a Lambda function or something, that would do that check for you and then return a success or a fail. Let's see, while I am waiting for this to go.
Questions, anyone? Questions?
Let me talk about what I'm going to demo next, just so I can get through it a little bit quicker. Once this comes up, I am going to take that backup file. I'm going to host it live on FileMaker Server B. It will not have, it's last night's backup, so it's not going to have those new expense records that I just created. Remember, we had 6 records in that expenses table. So then the question is, what do we do about those missing records? And the answer is MirrorSync. We will start MirrorSync up and running again. And then
wait, just stop. I just had a revelation. So you're saying that this will take a backup and bring it up to date. So
Yes.
we actually, so normally people say, oh, I lost 15 minutes of work, or if you're a real ding dong and you back up once a day, I lost a day's worth of work of my last backup. This is horrible. This would restore.
As long as you have it synced to a second server.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
MirrorSync will,
Yeah.
MirrorSync will pull it from the second server and push it back on the first. This is, Amazon has now figured out that the server is dead.
Okay. Yeah. He just delikes, I don't know, whatever he is.
Devalkless?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
Dave in Virginia?
Devalkyrie, yeah, Devalk, yes, whatever. I mean, I whatever. Yeah, it works now, he says.
I see him every year at DevCon. Notice that our name, our DNS switch has now kicked in. Now when we're requesting from Amazon FMSP.360 or FMSP demo, it's telling us 1701. So let's see what happens when I switch over to FileMaker and I go to the same host that I've been using, which is FMSP demo. So, this is just an SSL thing. So I say, okay, here, FMSP use Enterprise X3. I can log in. Now this is going to be a little slower for me because I'm going to the West Coast to the East Coast, but notice the title bar here, Northern California. Any IT person having to do anything without anybody freaking out, within about 90 seconds, that DNS change happens on Amazon. Amazon realizes it's down and it routes me to the next closest server. In my case, that's Northern California. But depending on my geography, if I was in, I don't know, Newfoundland or something like that, maybe it'd be faster to go to Ireland. So that is how that works. Now that actually, the feature I'm just showing you right now is not specifically, technically speaking, a MirrorSync feature. That is an Amazon feature. Now I'm going to show you where MirrorSync plays into this. So, okay, we know the server's down.
So we call the IT guy, ring, blew up. He goes, oh, I'll take care of it. And he goes over there.
He puts the backup back on.
He puts the backup back up.
Okay. No, we didn't. Wait.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did you move it? I didn't see you move it.
I didn't. You're right. I need to put that backup back in there.
Okay.
So there's last night's backup. Notice the modification time, 11 p.m. last night. So let's go in and let's open that file up. So that file is now ready to go. And now let's tell MirrorSync to do something. So MirrorSync is now going to see that that's in that. So MirrorSync keeps an internal timestamp of when it last synced with the server. And it stores that on the server. Oh, you know what? This isn't working because my data API is still off. But this is instructional. No, this is. I couldn't have planned this better because what this is showing is that even with that server down, MirrorSync can't talk to it right now. But even with that server down, MirrorSync is still able to sync just fine with all the other servers. So Mumbai, Ireland, Western California, Western US, and Sydney are all still running, all still in sync with each other. Yeah, now when I go to the data API.
Our resident certified flight instructor, Ken, just told you, just beat you the punch that, you got to turn the DAPI back on. So, yeah.
Thank you. I love it when people I sincerely do love it when people help me with my demos. I'm not being facetious.
No, I'm being serious too. The problem is there's
Yeah.
this like game they play with me here when you're not here, and they let me like dig a deep hole, and they could have stopped me like 30 minutes ago, and they let me keep going because they see how far it goes. It's like I think a drinking game. Richard in the
do they
weeds.
do they say nothing, or do they maybe just give you a little hints like, maybe that won't work, just to mess with you?
They could be tough on me. They're hard people. So yeah. So then you need to turn that on, and now it's we're gonna be happy now.
So I've turned the data API on. And by the way, while this is running, if I come back in here, Amazon has already picked up that the data API is back on and is now routing traffic to 1701B. That actually happened faster than I thought. I was expecting to have to check that a few times. What's happening right now is MirrorSync is going into what I call recovery mode. And MirrorSync knows the last time that it synced with Eastern US is, I don't know, just say 4:30 p.m. So when MirrorSync goes to sync with it again, as far as FileMaker is concerned, the last time it synced with MirrorSync was at 11 p.m. last night. MirrorSync knows that's not what I thought. So it knows that there is some mismatch. It knows that the file it's talking to right now is not in the same state that it was in the last time that MirrorSync talked to it. So it switches to a different mode, recovery mode. In recovery mode, it will not delete any records. Those expense records are missing from the Eastern US. But instead of MirrorSync going, hey, these records are missing, they must have been deleted, let me go delete them everywhere, which is what it would normally do. MirrorSync will say, hey, these records are missing, but I'm in recovery mode, so let me get them from another server and put them back. So it also does some extra deduplication checking to make sure that it's not creating any duplicate records during the sync, which makes the sync run a little slower. But that finished and it ran, and I've got a bunch of insertions. I've got 11 insertions here in my audit log. There's my 4 test records in my expenses table. So let's go take a look. Now that the server's up, I should just be able to close this. I'm not sure if FileMaker caches my DNS or not. Let's see what happens. Honestly, I really don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, which one are you in?
Yeah, which one will FileMaker put me in? Cool. FileMaker picked up the DNS change and it put me into the Northern Virginia server. So now I'm going to the one that was dead. And if I go to expenses,
so when I said,
my records.
Yeah, so when I said, okay, so here I'm going to escape out of your. I'm just going to make your window smaller for a second. Go back to my animated video here. So for those of you who, I'm everyone pretty sharp here, but when we blew up the server down here in this corner down here, you see this where we blew this server up in the bottom right. The restoration here, when we bring the server back up, and we use a backup, say, from yesterday or whenever it was, an hour, a couple hours ago, then what happens is that MirrorSync does a kind of a not
recovery.
Yeah, but it's this commit rollback. It's this ACID kind of stuff where it finds the records. It's more enterprisey it's more enterprise than I even thought. I mean, because it basically takes the other servers and it reconstructs where the hell it should be. It's almost kind of like, I mean, I hate to say like a RAID drive, but almost like the idea if you dropped a RAID drive out and put it in, the other drives kind of combine forces to rebuild it, right, kind of thing. So
exactly, like a checksum, like a checksum on a RAID,
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how that works. That's pretty amazing stuff. So, so even more enterprisey than normal. So that's pretty impressive.
And let me also point out that we've been demoing this kind of transcontinental servers all around the world. But what I just showed you, I think probably everybody in this call can agree that this would be a really valuable feature, even if all your users are located in one place.
Yeah, if you had mission critical, say like you had a server that just couldn't go down, and you're like screaming that, right? Then you put 2 FileMaker servers side by side in the same data center. You have groups of people using both. They just divvies them up, however you want to divvy them in terms of load or whatever. And then if one dies, then the company keeps going, but then it buys you some time so your IT person can like resurrect things, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
And you get that scalability benefit of your users get split across 2 servers instead of 1.
Yep.
So when both servers are running, they're basically able to handle twice the load. When one server goes down, you've got all the load on one server, but MirrorSync will recover that server as soon as it comes back up.
Yeah.
So that is what I wanted to show there as far as the recovery from backup. Should we open the floodgates and pass out that launcher file?
Well, we can. I haven't, I was thinking about what we want to do just from a structural standpoint. So everyone here. So we give the file out. Then what we're going to do is probably kick everyone, in a couple hours or something. And then we'll do it again tomorrow. But I'm going to send out an invite to everyone, Jesse. And if you want to, they can send them an invite. And then we'll give them the revised password in the broadcast tomorrow. We'll change the password. But I want to see if because I don't think we're going to have more than 50 or 60 people here today watching this. But if we really put the word out there that we're trying to break FileMaker, we'll have people show up. And we'll turn on Webdirect too. We'll turn on Webdirect just to light everything on fire. And that way we can... then that way we can address that. So then there's a question here, can a corruption also be synced to the corrupt file on the other server? Well, okay, so back to this diagram here real quick. I'm going to use the diagram here to answer the question. So the idea is that this server crashes down here, right? And so we throw that, we take the file and we move it out of the way, we mark it as crashed, so we don't ever use it again. Then we restore a backup on here. So if we follow that process, we don't have corruption. If you never use a crash file, the chance of running a corruption are really slim, really slim. So he's saying, well, if you had corruption uphill, could it push the corruption downhill? I mean, I guess if you were I want to say a goofball, but say like you're working up here, and I'm drawing pictures on the screen here, Jesse, this moving map thing. If you're in the U.S. East and say Jesse, they say this is Jesse's headquarters server, so he makes a change here and then he marks the little flag indicator to push up updates to everyone, right? And say that during him doing the development work, he crashed the file and opens it and crashes it, opens it. So he himself, through his bad actions, puts corruption into the file. Then he sticks it on the server, and then you tell the server to distribute that everywhere. Yeah, you're going to take that corrupted file and spread it everywhere. Right, so it'll be.
I see that as kind of a three-part answer. If by corruption, some people use the term corruption to mean users doing dumb things, and that will definitely get synced. If a user goes in and deletes a ton of records or does replace field contents that they shouldn't have done, MirrorSync can't tell that from something it's supposed to do, and it will definitely sync that bad change everywhere.
You have people use that word.
You still need backups.
You have people who use that corruption word like that, because if they do, they get slapped down here, because that's this user's data entry error. That's all that is, right? Yeah. That's not corruption. So, yeah.
As far as like the file actually getting corrupt, MirrorSync will not sync corruption. So if your hub file or your spoke file were, if you kicked the power cord and the file didn't get fully written and you plugged it back in and it said, are you sure you want to use this? Consistency check, blah, blah, blah. And you said, yeah, just use it. It's fine. And then it turns out the file's not fine, and like it's crashing all the time, and like the indexes are messed up and things like that. MirrorSync is not going to sync that corruption back and forth. It will only sync the data from the records that can be ascertained through the data API back and forth. So you don't have to worry about that. The only time that I could see a case where file level corruption could be transmitted from one server to another is if MirrorSync copies the entire file. So not if it's just syncing record contents, but yeah,
right. That's what I was.
The entire file, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Which is what I was saying. I mean, if you listen, a vast majority of corruption issues. And I'm not being I'm like a mother here, mothering everyone. So I'm mothering you. You'll be mothered. You will love it. I will mother you, and you will like it.
You remind me so much of my mother.
Oh God, I'm sure. So yeah. So the problem is that most corruption is caused by human factors. Developers who are we've talked about this, you weren't here, but they're under pressure. They don't have good backups. They don't back up often enough. It crashes. They have to restore. The boss is like, go, go, go. We're all down. What are we going to do? Why do you suck? You're a horrible developer. Go, go, go. We're going to fire you. We need someone's better. And when you're under that pressure, you're inclined to do stuff that you shouldn't do, like use a corrupted file. If you do that and the file is corrupt, then if MirrorSync pushes that file to other places, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even then, it's only an issue if you do it on the hub. MirrorSync will never push a file from a spoke to another spoke or from a spoke to a hub. But if you have corruption on the hub, MirrorSync won't sync that to the spokes, but if you do something like use the database version feature, which we haven't demoed yet, or if you add a new spoke and it's an initial sync, in those cases, MirrorSync will copy the file from the hub to the spoke, and then any corruption in the hub file would go with it to the spoke.
Correct, Amundo. So yeah, so try not to be that person, right? So, all right, we're going to go back to you, Jesse, here. So do we want to like let people play with this a little bit, or do we want to let them log in?
I think that would be fun.
Okay, so everyone raise your right hand, and you swear that you will only do good, safe data on live TV, and you will not, it'll be all safe for work, right? Ken Tooley and TK and a couple of you people who I know are just like, all right. So we have, I'm going to post it over here. I'm going to make your screen full screen, Jesse. We're back to full screen on you. I'm going to disseminate. I am going to push out the player file here. So here it comes. Wham. So everyone can download that. And it's actually kind of a cool one because it allows you to, there'll be the button that you see, and then you'll see the button that you see, and then obviously you can log into a specific server if you want to verify that, right? So the credentials I'm also posting in another message here. Oh, that's the wrong. Oh, that stop. That will not work. Let me edit that. Stop. Edit. It's not admin. It's LiveStream, and it's not case sensitive on the username, but the password is numbers. Technically, that's case sensitive. So there we go. Cool. So everyone can now log in, and if you want to add or edit a record or whatever you want to do, put your own. Pay
attention to the. Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
Well, then put your own contact record into the contact table. This has a lot of records in it, and put your picture in there if you want, whatever. Okay.
And did you make it so that the launcher has buttons to open the servers directly?
Oh yeah. They have a choice. In fact, if you want to go grab the, let me post it to you.
And actually, here, let me close this file first.
Yeah.
So now I've just got the launcher. Okay, cool. Closest server, US West. Perfect. So I'm going to try closest server. That should take me to Virginia.
And then Nathan was going, I got Northern California. If you were going to deploy and keys up in Canada, the closest data center to Canada, do they have a Canadian data center, or is it Ohio the closest one to them?
They have there's Toronto.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there is is there a Western Canada, like a Vancouver? I can't recall.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there's obviously, I mean, for Nathan, it's a little far away for him. And there's obviously quite a few data regions around that you could use. We only did, I mean, as it is, this is a $1,000 demo for me, folks. So it's 5 servers, and we've been running these badass servers for like a week. So I'm in Palm Beach today. Jesse, guess that got me to Virginia. Yeah, Palm Beach is, I mean, the scheme of things, a hell of a lot closer there than California or Ireland, right? Or Mumbai, India. Mr. Scott. Yeah, Mr. Scott. Yeah, I get it. So, yeah, kind of neat. So you put a Reddit, and so we're watching. So for those of you wondering about this, so if you come, we're watching down here at the bottom. So if you make an edit, it will, so as you write, it should keep track of the edits here, right? So
do some experiments, connect to the server closest to you, make some changes, and within 10 or 20 seconds, it should be on the other servers. So try connecting to the other servers. See if first of all, see if your changes are there. And second of all, see what the speed is like. If you're connecting to, like, if you're in the US and you connect to the Sydney server, for instance, then you'll get a pretty good idea of why people in Australia don't want to connect to a server in California, because it's pretty awful. And so that's the whole point of why we're doing all this, right? Is because it's obviously much faster to talk to a FileMaker server that is geographically closer to you. And so by trying the different servers in the different regions, you'll get an idea of how significant that performance difference is.
Yep, I'm seeing records pop up here. Got Tom popping up in here. I put a record in there. Don't forget to put a picture. Ron is there, Pacific Blue. Ken Tooley is there, awesome. Mickey Mouse, okay, random person. Although, let's see, Mickey Mouse images here. Created by Jesse Barnum was you. You're Mickey Mouse, apparently. So, yeah, not a problem. Let's see, I could put Miles.
Looks like we got a few people on our Ireland server.
Yeah, cool. Well, remember, even if you're lurking here, you feel free to come play. There's no penalty or anything, and you can come.
Nobody's on our Mumbai server yet, so if you're in Asia, give it a shot.
Yeah, we might leave that. I might come back on Saturday and just invite people because sometimes my Middle Eastern and Indian people come in on the weekends. Kind of weird, but yeah,
We do have 3 people on the Sydney server.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I knew Sydney would be. Australia, there's a lot of people there. Lots of spinning wheel on Sydney. Yeah, Ken, because you're in Albuquerque, bro. It's 200 listen, it's like at least 200 milliseconds to Sydney. Way slower, right? Remember, yeah. Well, it should be slow, right? That's why. Listen, that's why we put the servers in all the continents. If you get the closest one, it'll be kind of quick and snappy. And if you have to go way away, then yeah, it's going to be ugly. I mean, for Ken, the backup for people in the Western U.S. is the Eastern U.S. and vice versa, right? If you're in Europe, you were serious about Europe, you'd put one in Ireland, one in Frankfurt, Germany, so you could like switch between those areas, right? There's Sydney. There's also Japan. About a third of all the FileMaker users are in Japan. It's crazy, and I have none of them are customers of me because they don't like me or whatever the issue is, or I'm too like Japanese, whatever works for that. But yeah. There's about a third of all the FileMaker users worldwide are in Japan. It's pretty interesting. So,
and so it's this is a lot of fun for me going through and seeing people connect to these different servers.
yeah, we
and
need
then at the same time seeing what's going on with mirror.
Why don't we
sync.
do an invite tonight? What we'll do is we'll change the password, then we can control it. But let's do an invite, like everyone. I'll send out a newsletter to everyone saying, "Hey, it's like a big party. It's like crash the FileMaker server, right? Melting the enterprise, right?"
Yeah, I mean, you got these badass servers. We need
I
to
know.
throw something at them.
Yeah, we need to try to. So we'll turn on Webdirect tonight. We'll do it more seriously. That would be great. Got some more records in here. Let's see. Who do we have now? Dave Vakleys. How do you pronounce his name? Vakly. Then likes.
I
Likes.
always read his last name. I just call him Dave when I see him. Dave Vaklis.
Well, the problem is that's Dave 3 or number 4 here because so far I've got Dave Learning, Dave Angle, and this is Dave. Okay, so Dave 3. There you go. And then one record is blank, and then Scott Kane is there, the number 1. Oh my gosh, Scott M. Dude, is that you? You're like a badass. Look at that photo. That's amazing. So yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, pretty neat stuff going on. Questions, folks. Questions. Well, Sydney is being used from New Zealand. Yeah, of course it should be, right? I would love to know the ping time from New Zealand to Sydney, right? I mean, I don't even know.
I'm going to post a message that I just happened to see in the sync console, and this is a feature. And maybe somebody was intentionally testing this. I'm not sure, but it tried to update one of the records in the contacts table, and it couldn't because that record was locked. And that's exactly what we want to happen, because this operation will be tried on the next sync. So that's mirror noting that it needs to try that record again the next time it syncs. So I just wanted to point that out. I noticed that on the screen while it was running.
Okay, so Michael Gravel is in Northern Virginia. He says Sydney is very, very slow, right? That's physics, right? So here, stop. I want to make sure everyone understands this, right? I mean, this is kind of like a fundamental here, right? So, and Michael, I'm assuming you've been around a while, so you understand this, but I mean, so I'm going to bring up this diagram here, so where all these people are here, right? So the whole reason that we put the servers here is because going across the world here sucks. FileMaker has a specification of a minimum speed or a maximum slowness, a maximum latency of 150 milliseconds. Between the United States and Australia is frequently over 200. So FileMaker's official recommendation is for Australia users who are accessing an American server, don't do it. And if you have an American user accessing an Australian server, don't do it. They don't say don't do it, but they said the speed, the minimum speed you need to have is 150. And I've been telling you because one of you folks here has been doing it. It was AJ or AU or AN or NJ or whatever it was. I can't remember. Did great speed testing, and we knew that it was consistently like 210. Too slow. So you put the servers local. It gives you high speed access, and they all stay synced up. That's the whole point, right? We all get that? Yep. Cool. So Dave 3 says Jesse is pretty close on the pronunciation. So
All right,
NJ,
all
yeah,
right.
TK
Thank
is.
you.
Yeah, NJ is a guy in Australia who did the analysis for us, did a really great job. And so we know concretely, yeah. And so once again, you're saying some people, I got people in the United States trying all these other servers out. They should all pretty much suck, okay?
Hey, Jake, if you're on the call, could you enable ICMP traffic on the firewall? Because then we could do some ping tests, and that would kind of, get
I
to what
don't
Richard's talking about.
know if Jacob is, that would be cool. Well, we could do that tomorrow for sure if he's not here right
Yeah.
now. But we'll do some ping tests. It'll be good, but you're going to see that from the United States to Australia is just slow. And then, just going, I mean, from basically from over here, from east to west, on a good day, it's about 70 milliseconds, right? So it's not kind of okay. The east and west can be backups for each other. But really, if the American servers fail, they're going to be hard up because then they're going to be probably shunted over to Ireland, I would guess.
Yeah, so if you've got users in Australia, if you're
Yes.
in the United States and you have some users who might potentially be connecting from Australia, the crappy speed that you're seeing is the same as the crappy speed they're going to see to try to connect from Australia to you.
Okay.
And that's with the well-designed solution. I mean, Nick has designed this to be really WAN efficient. This is a best case scenario.
Yeah.
If you have a system like most are done with really wide, fat tables and a bunch of unstored calcs and things like that, it's going to be even far worse than what you're seeing here. So this is the reason to do this, is to see what your users will see if they're connecting to your server from somewhere else.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll bring we'll get the ping testing ready for tomorrow so you can see that. But yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, if you have a multinational corporation, or if you want to use those words, sounds awful lawyerly, but if you have customers or users using the same FileMaker solution in different continents, you really need to look at this solution. This will make them so much happier. And you won't have people, all the enterprise guys going around behind you, the IT guys going, FileMaker sucks, look how slow it is. Well, it sucks and slow because you haven't rolled out really an enterprise grade solution, right? So comments coming in. It took me 11 seconds to open Sydney. That's Dave 3 says that. And then 4 seconds the USC says West. Yeah, so that's pretty quick. Average is 175 milliseconds from New Zealand to Australia. Really? Okay, back up. The 75 is here in California. You went to that? 75, 147, 133 is California. If you're looking for the IP address in Australia, I don't have one for you right now that's not blocked behind a firewall. We will release the firewall ping block. What port number is that? You said, or is it just a?
It's ICMP, and I don't know the port number. I usually just enable all ICMP ports.
Got it.
I think it might be 25, but I'm not positive.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that works. So this is how you start to see this. Mr. Scott says Chris Irving uses Wireshark for FM/WAN performance benchmark and monitoring. Yeah, I mean, so Wireshark is good. You just have to you have a very controlled experience with it because the way networks work and stuff like that. You just can't put it on the network and measure because you'll collect other things on the network that are happening too. When we do Wireshark testing between servers and clients, we actually try to remove everything else from that network.
And
by
the way, Mr. Scott, I wanted to check with him before I mentioned this, and I did. He's at Apple, and he's been using NurSync for, I believe, several years, and is just recently bought server-to-server licenses to start using this stuff that we're demoing now. So
wow, so a real enterprise deployment. Well, it'd be great if and I'd love to do a short success story about that. Just I mean, if he's out here, but the problem is Apple hates doing that. They don't like that kind of PR.
Yeah.
But So New Zealand to California was 75 milliseconds, which is about what they were getting from wherever NJ was to California. So it's over 150, and it's in that kind of area where it's going to start to stink. Mr. Scott said,
go
ahead.
I was going to say, I think the distance from New Zealand to Australia, it's a long way. I think it's like somebody's going to laugh at me from New Zealand or Australia because I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's probably not too dissimilar from like East Coast to West Coast of the United States. It's a good long distance.
Yes.
It's like a 4-hour flight.
Yeah, Mr. Scott says combining combining MirrorSync with Webdirect, where the underlying solution is 100% theme, smart data denormalization, short TO hops, no. Yeah, I mean, so that's the whole point of the starting point enterprise, right? So he's talking about creating a solution from scratch. It's lean design. I just posted a link for those of you who saw that a little bit ago, which is the it's our enterprise. It's the version of starting point, but it's all been lean designed. There's almost no stored calculation summaries. It's all very, very lean. That's why this solution works so well for that. It's about as fast as you can make it. I think generally the performance would be faster than Webdirect. I guess Mr. Scott and Nick Hunter are two of the big Webdirect fans. So anyway, that's how that goes. But yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, Webdirect only solution. Yeah, well, if you're building from scratch, feel free, obviously. Building a CRM out and making it lean is a lot of work, I can tell you, because that's why and how we built what we built. Yeah, so this is we spent a lot of time talking about this. So the reason this actually generally works is, I mean, the MirrorSync is really good, but you have to have a lean design database. You can't get to enterprise level class application without that, which means as you're building relationships,
that's the foundation of everything.
Yeah,
you need to start off with good software design before you even start to think about the hardware.
Yeah, so Scott's talking about having really flat table occurrence groups, things like that. That's what this is. So this is basically it's a CRM. See how they're grouped like this? If you do a big spider diagram and lots of craziness, your life will be very miserable. And so this enterprise version, we actually found during, we talked about this one day. We were doing Jesse was going through it and doing an audit, and he found a couple non-lean things in it, and we went back and fixed them. And so this version here, the 20.0.1, has a couple other performance enhancements where we were unnecessarily shuffling the preferences record. And one of the fields in the preferences record had several megabytes of text in it, which was a mistake. It needed to be in a different table. And so because we were constantly banging away on the preferences record, people were getting this update, and then the update would include this 2 megabytes of text or whatever it was. There was a lot of characters in there. It's a bunch of JavaScript. Yeah. So we optimized that. So the idea is to keep this as fast as possible. Nick is a big fan of Webdirect. My biggest challenges with Webdirect is that it does seem to be flaky. If you sent Webdirect out to 100 people, you're going to have 10 people come back and say it randomly just does crazy shit on their computer, even if they're using the right browser. And so because of that getting barbecued by customers like that, I don't like to have that kind of failure rate. And it's not just me. You ask all the big consultancies, they stay away from it because no one likes to get yelled at, and I don't want to get yelled at. So as a result, we stay away from things that will get us yelled at. I think Webdirect has its uses. In my case, I would use it when Pro and Go won't go there. But there are a handful of people who will just use it just because they prefer that over other stuff, which is fine. So that's cool.
So I've been keeping an eye on the sync as it's been running, and it looks like at our peak, at our busiest point in time, I saw the sync take about 120 seconds. So it's running every 10 seconds. So if you do the math, that means that pretty much every time you make a change in 130 seconds, just over 2 minutes, it will be in the other 4 servers around the world. And so to kind of just summarize, the benefits and what's being accomplished here, we're able to have a local copy of FileMaker Server running on 5 different servers around the world. Anybody around the world can use that DNS latency feature to automatically connect to whichever one is going to be fastest for them, have a low latency kind of not quite local network speed, but a fast wide area network speed to a relatively close geographic server, work on the data on their own server, and then in the background within 20 minutes or 20 seconds to 120 seconds have all of that distributed around the world to all of the people that they're collaborating with. And then if any one of those servers goes down, the combination of Amazon's DNS combined with MirrorSync will route that to another server. And then when that server comes back up, MirrorSync will take care of restoring it to the condition that it was in. And then Amazon will take care of routing the traffic back to that. So I think, from an enterprise standpoint, we're checking off 2 of the pretty big check boxes on the enterprise check mark, which is reliability and scalability.
Yep.
And those are, I would say, those are up there with security. Those are the three kind of the holy trinity of IT: is security, reliability, and scalability. And so I think we're hitting two of the three, and then this has nothing to do with security, so that's it's a whole separate conversation.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, this is. I'm really happy with how this demo is going. I'm really glad that everybody participated. It was really cool seeing people hit it from like Australia and all over the world. So I know, Richard, you and I did a demo 2 years ago at DevCon on local clustering, where we had two servers basically running on the same LAN as each other.
Yeah. And
we were using that elastic load balancer, and we used MirrorSync to keep them in sync. This is the first time I've personally gotten to see MirrorSync. In all the years I've been working on it, I've never actually gotten to see MirrorSync live with a bunch of users in all different countries and continents around the world, and then MirrorSync running smoothly in the background, keeping it all in sync. So this has been, I think, just as much fun for me to see it as it has been for me to present it.
And someone said, I purchased MirrorSync this morning based on this week's demo. It has been great. Jesse is so amazing. I love him. I'm jealous of his wife. No, it doesn't say that. But people are buying. Hopefully a couple of you buy the product. Because here's the thing. I mean, we have a bunch of lurkers here. And the lurkers lurk. We don't know who they are. They quietly sit in the background. Quietly in the background. So we don't know who they are. But you are here, so feel free to cash in and get a good deal on the software. Or come to our fmtrain.tv and get a awesome bundle of training, and that way we can pay the bills, because my Amazon bill this month is going to suck. It's going to be my normal bill plus probably $1,200 just for the demo for you folks. So anyway, you're as we say in the business, here we go, you're worth it, right? Not sure Ken is worth it. Hot air balloon guy, he's a little sketchy. Him and TK, I don't know about him. But honestly, no, it's a lot of money. That's why when you let people know, buy the training. If they already have FileMaker and they don't need FileMaker, then just have them get the video training. It really helps us. They get something out of it. We get to email them, keep them connected to the community. And so that's it for now. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Check. Oh, you bought a copy on Monday. What Ken, what did you buy a copy of? MirrorSync? Ken. Holy cow. So we've had several purchases, Jesse.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. So Jesse, you can have more than top ramen for dinner tonight. So that's good.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. All right, everyone. I appreciate it. We'll catch you tomorrow, and we'll
see you guys tomorrow.
Invite your friends. We want to break. We want to melt. Tomorrow's broadcast, we're going to call it Melting the Enterprise. All right. Cool. Thanks. Hey, you realize we're still running the credits here, right? So everyone can hear us talking.
I'll talk to you later.
That's fine. I just thought everyone wanted to know what's going on, right? So very cool.
All right, cool.
All right.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected, the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10, 9:25. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.